Hello and welcome to Wellness Wednesday. I'm James Currie with the Communication Department. I'm talking to Dr. Mike Hoppe. He is the senior pastor of Saraland United Methodist Church in Saraland, Alabama. Dr. Mike, how are you?
I'm great, James. Thanks for having me on to talk about the Enneagram today.
Yes, thanks for being on again. We seem to have quite a bit to discuss about this personality profile since there are 9 different types. Do you want to go through them real quickly and explain a little bit about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've done several videos here on this Facebook page about the Enneagram, which is overall it's a personality profile that I find very, very helpful, and I recommend everyone have an opportunity, if they haven't already, to find out what your type is. You can Google Enneagram, and you'll find some free tests, some that you can pay for, and find out your type. And then there's some introductory videos that we've already done together, James, that they could look up and explain some of the overall things. And I think what we're doing now is going into each individual type. Today, I know we want to talk about the 4. So if someone's already identified as a 4, maybe we can help to explain a little bit more about what that means.
Yeah, the 4, that's the individualist. I know a lot of us like to think that we are individuals, but some are a little bit more individualistic than others. Now, the 4, from what I gather, they are more of the creative type, the dreamer, the poets, the authors, the actors, the musicians, and they're very deeply connected with their world is all about emotion and feeling, and when they feel really good, world is great. And when they feel really, really bad, they get down on themselves, and they kind of self-abuse, a little bit of self-abuse with self-medication with alcohol and drugs and other vices and things to kind of escape. So, that's kind of the yin and yang of it, I guess, of the individualist.
Yeah, there are pros and cons of every personality type. Every person listening to this has pros and cons of your own individual type. And the 4s are really interesting. If someone's not a 4 and then they have a 4 in their life, they may wonder, is something wrong with the 4? Because this person is, like you had already described a little bit, can be a little bit more melancholy than others. And because this is a good thing about a 4, is that 4s are really connected deeply to their feelings and that feeling center, whereas other personalities may not be as comfortable talking about those darker, deeper feelings that they struggle with. 4s, they live in that world and they're okay with it. They don't want to be fixed, so to speak, by others who are looking into their life. They're fine being the way they are. And often that feeling centered, because they're in the heart triad, 2, 3s, and 4s, or they make decisions more out of their heart, their feelings. They're responding that way in creative ways. They really use their heart, and that's why you explained just right that they tend towards professions that are able to use their heart in expressing these deep emotions, whether it's art or music or design, and a lot of different kinds of fields that 4s like to go into are like that.
Excuse me. Yeah, I noticed also too with 4s that some of the things that I read about them is they don't have their own personal identity, so which would be perfectly ideal for a person that's an actor, because they're portraying someone else all the time. They don't know who they are, so it's easy to dive into a character or be someone else. Let me go through this list here. There's a list here on the Enneagram site of just some examples of type 4s. That would be, like I said, there's a lot of musicians here: Billie Holiday, Hank Williams, Cher, Stevie Nicks, Leonard Cohen, Paul Simon, Bob Dylan. And then there's a lot of writers: J.D. Salinger, Tennessee Williams, Anne Rice. So you can see that it lends itself to the creative side. I guess it's your escape outlet, for a
Yeah.
4 to, write a song about a cat, or something like
Sure.
that.
Well,
But
of those names you listed, our fours that are listening to this today are a good company with some really interesting, creative people there. I think at the deepest place, we talk about a core desire or a core fear of every number has its own type, and I think at the what most of the experts believe is at the core of a 4. What really is driving them is from an early age. They just wondered who they are. They wanted to find their uniqueness. They thought they were different than everyone else. And that really is a core of who they are, is they want to find their uniqueness, and they don't want to be like everyone else. And that's something that kind of drives them away, is being like everyone else. They want to find their own uniqueness in their core,
mhm.
that's different from other people that are around them.
Yeah, and we talked about when this different personality type is healthy, they exhibit these
Mhm.
types of symptoms, and when they're or personality traits, and when they're unhealthy, these are the things that they exhibit. So, do you want
Yeah.
to kind of go into that a little bit for the 4?
Absolutely. So within the Enneagram, if you would look up Enneagram, you'll notice that there are arrows that point within the different personality types. And for a 4, there is an arrow that leads, when someone's in a stressful moment, they tend towards someone who's more like a 2, and in healthy moments, more like a 1. So let's talk about what those would look like. So someone's a 4 and they're in a really healthy place. They might be more like a 1. Um, one characteristic, which a 1 characteristic in its healthiest form is someone who's very organized, who's put together, things are more structured in their life. And that would be a really healthy place for a 1 to be, because they tend to be more creative and kind of not necessarily structured and ordered all of the time. So that oneness would come out in them when they're really, really healthy, and that would be good. But when they're unhealthy, they would gravitate more towards a 2 personality, and what we might consider some of the more negative aspects of a 2, which in this case would mean a 4 becomes really, really clingy to the people around them, very emotional about relationships. And so that clinginess and that emotional relationships, over involved, micromanaging with the people that are in their life, those are some of the characteristics that can be displayed in a 4. And I just feel it's helpful for all of us to know these things, because if you're in a relationship with a 4, and I know some people that are, and when they're, let's say a couple is going through a fight, one of those, a fight that they might have, to know how your spouse or your loved one responds under stress, it can help you give them a lot of credit. It can help you learn how to love them a little bit better through that difficult time. And that's why this topic is so important, and why I believe it's important to have it on, and a topic we're discussing health, because relational health leads to so many other kinds of health in our life, physical health, and even spiritual health as well.
Yeah, mind, body, and spirit for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, they all work together in unison. That's the way that we were built. That's the way we were created. It's not one part of the whole. Is the thing that works the best. They work the best when they all work together and work as one in the human body. Um, Now, we talked about the Enneagram. And that means, 9, so there's 9 different personality types, not necessarily meaning that a 1 is better than a 9, like you want to score a perfect 10 or something like that. The numbers, their value, they're not growing in significance or decreasing in, lesser significance, but it's just a classification system. So, just to wrap up about the 4s, we've talked about the 1s, the 2s, the 3s, the 4s, and then we'll get to the 9s in a few weeks. But all are necessary, healthy, relationship types of people that thrive in society. I mean, without 4s, we wouldn't have some of the amazing music that we have, or some of the, you'd never see Brando, playing, Captain Bligh and Mutiny on the Bounty, and things like that. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, that's right.
but
I think it
they're
is
they're all necessary.
interesting. They're all necessary, and each is beautiful in its own way. And I think it is important for us to identify that, recognize that, and to love the different parts of who we all are. And everywhere you go around the world, and I've done a lot of traveling, and people speak different languages and have different cultures, but personality types, you can find similarities everywhere you go, and that's really interesting to see generally. And that's why I found the Enneagram helpful, is that we do find people fall into one of 9 types, and it helps us to be able to identify and relate to them.
Sorry, I had to Google real quick. I did get it correct from memory. Yes, that was Marlon Brando in Mutiny on the Bounty, and he did play Captain Bligh. So years ago, that Trivial Pursuit I played did pay off.
That's good.
Yeah, like we talked about, it's, you can go to the Enneagram Institute link that we've posted with the video to take the test, the paid test, but you can also go to Google and then search. There's a lot of free resources out there. There's a lot of free videos on YouTube. There's some great books in the public library. I had one for several weeks that I finished reading. But once you dive, the whole point of this exercise that we're doing is knowing yourself, knowing other people that are in your circle, and your family, your work family, your home family, your church family, your neighborhood. Then you're more relatable to other people because you can understand, well, okay, that's why John acts the way that he does. That's why Sheila says this, or acts this way. So,
and if you are that type, to know what are some growth points for you. So for example, if you're a 4, there's a list of growth points. One of those areas that is often recommended for a 4 is to begin working on areas of gratitude, because it's easy for them to focus on the more melancholy areas of their life. But when they begin to focus on more of the areas of thankfulness and all the areas they've been blessed in their life, that can be a really great growth point for a 4. So a lot of people come to me for advice on Enneagram because I've studied it a lot, but there are people that have studied it more than me, and I go to people for advice and even some direction on understanding myself, understanding how to manage a staff team and teams of volunteers. This can help in all of those different areas.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'm not a 4. I couldn't carry a tune even if you gave me 2 handles to hold on to it. But, there are obviously, 4s are necessary. They give us that creative side of the world. They give us that escapism outlet. But like you just mentioned, with every personality types, it's good to know this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm feeling when I'm healthy, but then also when I'm not unhealthy or I don't feel well, then this is what I'm exhibiting, and then that would help you, or maybe help someone else help you too. So using that as my segue, we do have behavioral health here at MCHD. So we have lots of counselors that are available to be able to sit and talk with people to just kind of help them through. Maybe they just don't understand some of these things, so they need some help, or you just need someone to talk to sometimes. So if you do want to speak to one of our behavioral health counselors, you can call and make an appointment at 251-690-8889. And of course, if you're a member of a church, you can speak to your pastor, or you can talk to our resident expert, Dr. Mike Hoppe.
Well, I appreciate it. And I appreciate the opportunity to share more about this. It's just, it's an interest of mine, a passion of mine. And if I can help a couple people to understand, love themselves or people in their life a little bit better, that would be great. And maybe if someone is watching this and has made it all the way through this video, and this has been a video that has spoken to you, done something for you, would love to hear from you and what you think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Dr. Mike, thank you again for sitting with me and talking about type 4, the individualist.
Thanks for having me today.